Batman number 43, Tom King and Mikel Janin on this book. And what's interesting about this is obviously we were kind of mixed on the last issue. And what's funny is I stuck up for it a lot more, and I said the one thing that really bothered me was when it felt like it was shoehorning in stuff about, because Poison Ivy fans were pissed that she killed people in war jokes and riddles. And then this issue was almost entirely about her killing people in war
It's
jokes and riddles.
basically become, that's what this whole arc has been about, is like, hey, Ivy, she's not a bad guy.
Now here's the thing, right? I have no idea. I can't say for sure one way or the other if this was what he always had planned, give or take, and it just feels like it's a reaction to the backlash at the time, or if a lot of this was changed because of the backlash. I don't know. But it's impossible for me not to read this and be kind of like, this feels like you're just kind of like making sure everyone's happy about what happened before.
It does a bit, doesn't it?
It does.
And there are things I like in this issue, probably more than I liked the last issue. In terms of, I really like the Harley and Ivy relationship.
I like the Harley Ivy. I like the Catwoman Ivy stuff. I like I like when, because the whole thing in the middle is that Catwoman knocks out Ivy for like 15 seconds, so Batman has 14 seconds to snap Harley, because the whole idea is that Harley being a close friend means that she's probably not as like deep, like she's on the surface, like she doesn't want to like take Harley away as much as everyone else, so he has 14 seconds to wake her up and snap her out of it, so Harley's Harley again. And Catwoman has just 1 second more to wake Ivy up, because if she doesn't, then planes will start falling out of the sky because she's controlling all the pilots.
Yeah.
So that was a fun thing. And then Ivy's like, oh, that was impossible. And then she's like, not impossible, Batman. Which I smiled at, because I could almost hear Matt cringe.
I'm with him on that one. This is the worst because Batman that King has committed yet. This is literally, no, not impossible, just Batman. That's fine. Go with it. Like, no, piss off. He actually just said because Batman in the book.
Well, yeah, but the thing he did wasn't actually that impossible.
It's not, but I just don't like him. It's more grating because he's actually saying it. Like, don't say because Batman. Like, just right. If it happens, fine, whatever. I don't like it.
Yeah, but Selena's in love with them, and she's saying because Batman, because she feels that way.
I don't know. I really don't like it.
That didn't bother
really
me.
don't.
If anything, I just smiled because I knew it'd annoy Matt.
Oh, I can feel Matt's rage.
Yeah,
you think I'm annoyed at it?
Yeah,
that's nothing.
I could feel it. And the funny thing is I actually, it's kind of funny because I do, in one hand, I feel like there's a lot, like, Catwoman's always been kind of on the line, right? But I feel like Harley and Ivy, because people like them so much, they kind of had to turn them into anti-heroes. They weren't allowed to just be evil and be villainous. And Ivy, probably second. I think Harley went through that first, where over the course of time, like, people loved her so much that they just, oh no, she's a bit of an anti-hero now because people like her so much.
It kind of happened around the same time with the Gotham City Sirens book.
And people like, on Twitter were giving King so much shit for making Ivy villainous, and I'm like, but she's a villain. She was always a villain. And I get that people like her a lot, but as villains, I love the Joker. I don't need him to be sympathetic. I love Joker being evil as shit.
I like Ivy as evil. She's a villain, but she's a sympathetic villain because she's very much she cares about the plants. She cares about the earth. There's a okay, I get it. I understand her motivation. She hates people.
Yeah.
She likes a couple of them, like Harley and Selina.
I actually like how it's handled here, in the sense that I like the part where Batman actually kind of like, I mean, I don't necessarily like the retcon that they force in, where he's like, oh, you didn't kill those guys. What are you talking about? Riddler did that. And he get all that sort of. I didn't like that part. But I did like the part where he says, maybe the reason why you're struggling with this so much is because you just aren't a villain. You're just not that awful a person. I kind of like that, the way that was kind of written on its own.
No, I do think, like I said, I think she works as a villain, but I think it's because she sees herself as a villain, because she's like, oh, I have to be a villain to achieve my goals of saving the Earth. It's not, like, she's not going for world domination, right? And
that's why I'm kind of conflicted, is because I like how it's handled for the most part, with like Batman's little speech to her, but at the same time, I think we're on a really weird slippery slope where as soon as any villains become likable by a lot of people, oh, we can't have them be villains anymore. And I feel like that's a really weird slope to be on. Like, who's next? Like, if Cheetah gets a fan base, oh, we can't have her be villainous now because people like her. So we have to turn Cheetah into anti-hero.
Out with Cheetah because they kind of did it in Rucker's run with with her other.
Okay, she's a bad example. She's a bad example because she's kind of got that Two-Face thing where she is good as well.
And you can kind of do it with Two-Face as well. Like you can play that line with him.
Yeah, but but there was a lot of people. The reason why I used a female villain is because a lot of people were, the people who were going nuts about this were calling them sexist and stuff on Twitter, and it was just like, really, it's not. She's a villain.
It's not sexist if it's just a villain using a villain. I mean, it'd be like, okay, so here's a good example: Clayface. We've just gone through 40-odd issues or whatever it is with him as a semi-hero, learning to be better. If in a few years he is doing something villainous again, I'm not going to complain. It'll be disappointing, sure. But I get it. It's a villain. If someone wants to use him as a villain in future, I'm kind of just going to go with it because that's comics, right?
I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but is there been like an arc for Ivy like Clayface has had in Detective where she has like definitively kind of had this journey?
Not to being a proper hero in the same way Clayface has. She's definitely mellowed.
Because that was the thing for me. I was like, when did this change happen where everyone all of a sudden is in an uproar because she's acting like a villain?
I think it's the Gotham City Sirens book.
It may be. I don't know.
I think there was a large part of it there, and when she's popped up in the Harley book over the last couple of years, she's been very sympathetic there as well.
When the reaction happened, I genuinely went, "What's the hubbub about? She's Ivy. She's a villain."
Yeah. No, there was a period of time where she wasn't. She was actively not being villainous and getting a regular job.
But that was the other thing, though. Even if she's turned into that more over time, I'm like, well, this was set back at the early days of Batman, where she would have been more villainous. So I can buy that she's gotten better since then. And I think a story of redemption is actually more interesting than saying, "Oh no, you never actually did kill them."
I agree. It kind of feels cheap, doesn't it?
That does feel cheap. I will criticize. Obviously, the art's fantastic throughout, as per usual with Janin.
Yeah. His Harley is very much Margot Robbie. I don't know if you caught that.
It is kind of. Joe, what really bugged me about this is not actual complaint, right? This is just like a weird thing for me that took me out of it. In one of her pages, when she's still in the room with Batman in the hospital, her speech bubble above her looked like Mickey Mouse, and it was bugging the shit out of me.
Oh, I need to go find this now.
It was two little bubbles with a bigger bubble, and it just looked like Mickey Mouse, and I was like, this is distracting. All I can think of is Mickey Mouse now.
Oh my god, you're right.
It was just so weird, and I don't know if that's intentional, if it's got some sort of weird subliminal thing going, but
I don't think it is. I think you just noticed it, and that's it.
But it is there, right? I'm not hallucinating.
No, it is. It's. Once I'm looking for it, I can see it instantly.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, obviously Harley's expressions look great. I liked her little joke about, King's, as much as you're complaining about his because Batman thing, he's also very good at making fun of Batman. He's not against having other characters pointing out how stupid he is, because Harley's whole thing, like, he has a machine in his car that puts on his pants. Batman's crazy, and I know crazy.
Yeah.
I like that. That was some fun stuff.
Sure, I'm really murky on this because, like I said, there are things that I like, but overall, it kind of just feels like, what was the point of this story, like other than to appease people?
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't hate the arc. I think there's been some fun stuff. I like the mystery of the first issue. I like the banter a lot from the last one. I like some of the dramatic points made here, but as it went on, it's definitely gotten murkier and murkier. I did like the small touch that now he has like 3 Superman-esque characters all following Batman, or she has 3 Superman characters all following Batman.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah, it was fun seeing Keenan and Kara be there as well, and like, okay, right, so 3 supers. That's what it takes to take Batman down.
I will say that's probably one of the only points of art I'll criticize is when the 3 of them show up outside the car. Keenan looks strange. She's got huge shoulders and chest, and a small head proportionally.
Fair. I'm going to find that page just for that, but yeah, I'll take it.
Small criticism here. Yeah, there's a couple of them here or there, but overall it's pretty great. Like there's the panel where it's not the panel, the page where it's like a ton of panels. Like it's got loads of the small ones. Going between Ivy, Harley, Superman, Bruce, Selina. I think Keenan's on there, and it's all on this one page. This sequential bit. It's when he's in the hospital still, and it's fantastic.
So this was kind of a murky arc in the end, even though I was sticking up for it more last issue. The final of it, like, it was just kind of really forced.
And it was all real. Like, there was no dream thing going on.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, everything was just flat out true. And it kind of glossed over at the end as well. Just, okay, Ivy's fixed now. And, like, it's like...
Nothing happened, basically.
Batman and Catwoman were in bed. Just, oh, yeah, that's all sorted. We should mention, actually, the name drop Sanctuary, which is the book that King's going to do. About the rehabilitation for people in the DC universe who are, like, both heroes and villains who have went through a lot of shit. So I thought that was a nice little touch. That didn't feel forced to me. I kind of like that you seed in that. Like,
no, I agree. That I'm completely fine with. That felt very natural.
And maybe that'll be the kind of the silver lining of all this, is that maybe we'll actually get a really good Ivy story about her dealing with her trauma in that book.
I hope so. Although the trauma is lessened now that she didn't kill people.
That is.
I mean,
that
she
is
did
true.
take over the whole world, but it's not quite the same.
She should feel guilty about that, though.
She should, but it's reversible. She's just like, all right, you're all free again now.
Yeah.
It's not as big a deal as, okay, she took some lives.
It's not a big deal morally, perhaps. It's a big deal in terms of she accomplished this amazing, ridiculous feat.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just talking about in terms of her recovery arc.
Yeah, okay.
It would have more weight if it was, okay, there's something irreversible that she's done.